Hey Mike, Walkers Outdoors, you put out a challenge to your viewers to show you their knives. And the challenge was given to you, I think, from Justin Outdoors. I probably have that wrong. Apologize if I have that wrong. And that was to show your knives. Categories were your oldest knife, your favorite knife, and the knife that you carry. And I thought I'd show what I have and what I use. And my oldest knife is an old buck knife that I bought back in the 60s. It's a folding knife, holds a good edge. And around that time, practically every kid that grew up in Pennsylvania, you had a good hunting knife. It was either case or buck. That was what I had gotten and opted for. And I've had this since, and I've lost it a couple times and then found it again. And this knife, like I said, holds a very good edge. I've had it so long that I've worn out the case completely, that there was a hole in the bottom of it was sticking out, most of it almost where it could slip out. So I wrote to Buck and saw that I could find the case, so I got another case for it. So I think this is a pretty popular knife with Buck, but I've had it since around 63, 64, something like that. And it's held up well, done everything I needed to do. So that's my oldest knife. Another older knife that was given to me, it's a French country knife. Never used it, but it was given to me by my sister-in-law. And it's another fold-out knife, and it's a carbon blade, and it's pretty firm, holds well. There's no flex in it or anything of that nature. And to lock it in place, unlike the buck knife, you literally, the band that's here, you twist it so that the blade does not come down. So it's a metal guard that will keep it from folding on your hand. So that's pretty neat. And again, as I said, that's an older knife and pretty sharp blade. So those are some older knives that I have. Most of the knives I have were given to me. I only pretty much carried and used the one that I had. And I was also given this little buck knife. It's a little pocket knife, sharp, very, very sharp. And you could carry it on a keychain, but I think you'd probably lose that. It's so small. But it's pretty sharp. And to sharpen them, back in the day when I bought this knife in the 60s, I bought the buck stone, and I used that. It's pretty much worn down quite a bit. Used to be even, but it's done its thing and it's held up, and that's pretty much what I use for the knife to sharpen it up. Put a little oil on there, honing oil, and do my thing. Another knife that was given to me. So this is my oldest, another old one, but the oldest. And you had mentioned about your favorite knife. Favorite knife that I had gotten, I got this when I was in my younger days in the Corps, is an Eck knife, EK knife, commando knife, made by Eck Company. And this knife it feels good. It has a very good feel. And it's a straight edge, and there is a slight straight edge up on the top as well. And I use this every time I go in the field when I was in the Corps. So that's a dandy knife. By mistake, I allowed one of my men to use it when I was out in the field. In fact, I was over in Saudi at the time, and they had used this, and I have no idea what they tried to cut, but they put a couple nicks in it. But I didn't take the nicks out. I just left it in for nostalgia. It reminds me of what they had done. So I don't use this as much anymore. I'm not in uniform anymore. But anyway, that's pretty much one of my favorite knives. A knife that was given to me by a retired Marine. He had mentioned that, hey, you got to have some knife. And I said, I have a knife here. He says, no, I guess like Dundee. He says, that's not a knife. And he got me this knife right here. It's called the Spartan, made by Cold Steel. I got a case here that really is a ammo pack for military. So it fits pretty well. Could put it in and it holds it. Won't come out or anything. But to open it is a folding knife. Has a hook right here to pull it up, that if you wanted to pull it up fast. And that knife is very sharp and wicked. It's pretty much ergonomic. It's one that you can grip to do whatever you're going to do. So that's a knife I have not I carried it once, but it's just too big. It's not something I'd like. Plus, again, I was always concerned of my fingers being in here to unlock it, press on the back, but I do it gingerly because that blade is very sharp. And if your fingers or anything in there, that wouldn't be too nice. Your fingers would be like cigars, little stubs. But very sharp, made by Cold Steel, Spartan knife. The same guy that gave me this had a big thing with Cold Steel. He had gotten another blade for me, and it's a pretty heavy knife. I mean, you wouldn't want this to drop on your toes, I tell you. Very sharp. Kind of reminds me of some of the knives that I've seen in Japan, what they have summarized. I mean, just the shape of it and design. It's called the GI Tanto, Tanto. So maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that knife, I mean, it's sturdy. It'll do a cut. I haven't used that or anything. Came with sheath, the sheath and all, and it's pretty stable. And I helped had the Marine that had given me these. He had helped me do some work back on the back of my land, and he felt that with all the high brush that I had, I need a machete of some sort. And I said, oh, I've got one, and I didn't use it much. I didn't use loppers and a few other things. He had gotten this. Oh, is that a heck of a, I mean, you whack someone or something with that. It's called, again, it's a Cold Steel, high performance knives, two-handed katana machete, made in South Africa. I mean, you have something like that. I mean, it would take down some branches, but I think it would probably be okay if it had some grooves or something for your fingers. But given to me, haven't used yet, but it's been collecting dust. But nice of him to give me that. So, not many knives that I purchased myself. Most of the knives I purchased, like I said, was the buck knife and this knife. So, of the three categories, the oldest knife, my buck knife. Favorite knife, my ek knife. The knife that I carry, the buck knife. The fold out, real simple, real easy, does really well, nice and sharp, and fulfills my job. All right, I'll zoom in on these so that you can kind of see them. I don't know how it's come out in the film here, but I just wanted you to see a closer look at them. But I also pass on this challenge now to three others. I pass it on to John on Louisiana Aquaponics. Get your knives out. Dave knows how. Get your knives out. Your knives out. And 94 Bullet. Bring them out, buddy. Bring them out. And lastly, Mr. Teddy Bear. Let's see what you've got. All right, guys, please, if you get a chance, take a look at their channels. Louisiana Aquaponics, Dave Knows How, 94 Bullet, Mr. Teddy Bear, and of course Mike, who passed on this challenge, Mike of Walker's Outdoors. Folks, thanks so much for allowing me to accept that challenge that you put out there, Mike. We'll see you all later. Like and share, subscribe. Appreciate it. We'll see you later. Bye.